There comes a moment in every person's life when the old way of thinking stops working. At first, you do not notice it. You keep waking up the same way. You keep making the same promises to yourself. You keep telling yourself that tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow, you will be more disciplined. Tomorrow, you will stop caring what people think. Tomorrow, you will finally become the person you were supposed to become. But tomorrow comes, and somehow you are still the same. Not because you are weak. Not because you are broken. Not because life has chosen someone else. But because your mind is still living inside an old system. A system built from fear. A system built from comfort. A system built from waiting. Waiting to feel ready. Waiting to be understood. Waiting for the right opportunity. Waiting for people to respect you before you respect yourself. Waiting for the world to become fair before you decide to become powerful. And this is where Machiavelli enters the room. Not as a villain. Not as a monster. Not as a man teaching you to hurt others. But as a cold mirror. A mirror that does not flatter you. A mirror that does not lie to you. A mirror that says, the world does not change because you are kind. The world changes for you when you become capable. That sentence alone can destroy an old mindset. Because most people were raised to believe that if they are good, patient, loyal, and quiet, life will eventually reward them. They believe if they work hard in silence, someone will notice. They believe if they suffer long enough, someone will rescue them. They believe if their intentions are pure, the outcome must be fair. But reality does not always work like that. Reality does not care about what you intended. Reality responds to what you build, what you protect, what you negotiate, what you tolerate, what you refuse, and what you are prepared to do when life stops being gentle. Machiavelli understood something that most people are too afraid to admit. A person who does not understand power will always be controlled by someone who does. Power does not always look like a crown. Sometimes power is emotional control. Sometimes power is financial independence. Sometimes power is the ability to walk away. Sometimes power is not needing applause. Sometimes power is being able to stay silent when your ego is begging you to. Sometimes power is knowing exactly who you are while the world tries to rename you. Your old mindset wants comfort. Your future self needs command. And there is a war between those two versions of you every single day. The old mindset says, I hope they like me. The new mindset says, I must respect myself first. The old mindset says, I will begin when I feel motivated. The new mindset says, I will begin because my life is not waiting. The old mindset says, why did they betray me? The new mindset says, what did I ignore before the betrayal happened? The old mindset says, life is unfair. The new mindset says, then I must become harder to defeat. This is not about becoming cruel. This is about becoming awake. Because a soft heart without a strong mind becomes a target. A good person without boundaries becomes a tool. A dreamer without discipline becomes entertainment for people who gave up on their own dream. Machiavelli forces you to ask a painful question. Are you actually living your life? Or are you just trying to be acceptable to people who do not even respect you? Most people never fail because they lack talent. They fail because they are addicted to permission. They want permission to start, permission to change, permission to leave, permission to become different, permission to disappoint others, permission to stop being who they used to be. But no one is coming to give you that permission. The person you want to become will offend the person you used to be. Growth always feels like betrayal at first. You are betraying your laziness. You are betraying your fear. You are betraying your old identity. You are betraying the version of yourself that survived by staying small. And that is why change feels so uncomfortable. Not because your future is wrong, but because your past is fighting for control. Your old mindset does not die quietly. It negotiates. It whispers. It says, just one more day. Just one more excuse. Just one more year living below your potential. It will remind you of every failure, every humiliation, every time someone laughed, every time you tried and did not win. Because the old mind is not trying to make you happy. It is trying to keep you familiar. And familiar pain can feel safer than unknown freedom. That is why so many people choose the prison they know over the power they have not yet earned. Machiavelli would say, do not build your life on how the world should. Build your life on how the world actually behaves. This is the first destruction of the old mindset. Stop confusing hope with strategy. Hope is beautiful, but hope without action is just a lullaby. It makes you feel better while nothing changes. Strategy asks different questions. What do I control? What am I avoiding? What skill must I master? What weakness keeps exposing me? Who benefits when I stay confused? What pattern keeps repeating in my life because I keep refusing to learn the lesson? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are the beginning of power. Because the moment you stop blaming everything outside of you, you take back the weapon you gave away. Responsibility. Not guilt. Not shame. Responsibility. There is a difference. Guilt says, I'm bad. Responsibility says, I'm in command now. Shame says, I'm broken. Responsibility says, I can rebuild. Excuses protect your ego. Responsibility protects your future. And most people would rather protect their ego than protect their destiny. That is why they stay stuck. They do not want the truth. They want comfort with better lighting. They want motivation without sacrifice. They want success without isolation. They want respect without standards. They want confidence without competence. But life does not reward fantasy. Life rewards alignment. When your actions align with your ambition, your life begins to change. When your habits align with your goals, your identity begins to shift. When your standards align with your future, people who depended on your weakness begin to disappear. And that is when you must stay strong. Because not everyone will celebrate your transfer. Some people loved the old version of you because that version was easy to predict, easy to interrupt, easy to guilt, easy to control. The moment you become disciplined, they call you distant. The moment you set boundaries, they call you selfish. The moment you stop explaining yourself, they call you cold. The moment you start winning, they say you changed. And they are right. You did change. You had to. Because the old version of you was costing you your life. Machiavelli understood reputation. He knew that people do not only respond to who you are. They respond to who they believe you are. This does not mean you should become fake. It means you must stop being careless with your image. Your reputation enters rooms before you do. Your energy speaks before your words. Your habits advertise your standard. How you dress, how you speak, how you listen, how you react under pressure, how you keep promises, how you handle disrespect, all of it tells the world how to treat you. The old mindset says, people should know my heart. The new mindset says, people also observe my behavior. You cannot demand respect while living in a way that communicates self-neglect. You cannot ask people to take you seriously if you do not take your own time seriously. You cannot complain that people keep crossing the line if you keep moving the line every time they smile. This is where the old mindset breaks again. You are not only judged by your intention. You are judged by your pattern. And your patterns tell the truth even when your words are beautiful. If you say you want greatness but keep choosing distraction, your pattern is. If you say you want peace but keep entertaining chaos, your pattern is. If you say you want freedom but keep spending money to impress people you do not even admire, your pattern is. If you say you want change but keep returning to the same environment that keeps you small, your pattern is. Machiavelli would not ask what. He would ask what you repeatedly do. Because your repeated actions are your real philosophy. Not your quotes. Not your captions. Not your late-night promises. Your habits are your beliefs made visible. So if you want a new life, do not begin by announcing it. Begin by becoming unavailable to the behaviors that created the. Become unavailable to your own excuse. Become unavailable to emotional chaos. Become unavailable to cheap validation. Become unavailable to conversations that weaken your focus. Become unavailable to the version of you that keeps begging for a life it refuses to build. This is not easy. Nothing real is easy. The old mindset loves easy. It wants shortcuts. It wants hacks. It wants one video, one book, one morning routine, one magical moment where everything suddenly becomes clear. But the new mindset understands. Transformation is not a moment. It is a system. It is what you do when no one is watching. It is what you choose when you are tired. It is what you refuse when you are lonely. It is how you behave when the reward is not immediate. Most people lose because they cannot survive the invisible season. The season where nothing is happening on the outside, but everything is being rebuilt on the inside. No applause. No recognition. No proof. Just you, your discipline, your doubts, and the quiet decision to keep going. This is where the weak return to comfort. And this is where the strong are born. Not because they feel fearless, but because they stop worshiping their fear. Fear will be there. Doubt will be there. Loneliness will be there. But the new mindset says, you can sit in the room, but you do not get to drive. That is emotional power. And emotional power is one of the highest forms of power. Because a person who cannot control their emotions can be controlled by anyone who knows how to trigger them. If anger can control you, your enemy owns a button. If praise can control you, the crowd owns a button. If loneliness can control you, toxic people own a button. If fear can control you, the future owns a button. The old mindset reacts. The new mindset observes. The old mindset says, they disrespected me, so I must respond. The new mindset says, not every insult deserves access to my energy. The old mindset says, I need them to understand me. The new mindset says, some people benefit from misunderstanding me. The old mindset says, I must prove them wrong. The new mindset says, I must build so completely that proof becomes unnecessary. Machiavelli teaches a brutal lesson. The person who is easiest to provoke is easiest to defeat. So master your face. Master your voice. Master your timing. Master the pause between emotion and action. Because in that pause, your future is decided. One version of you reacts and creates damage. Another version of you breathes, studies the situation, and chooses the move that protects the mission. That is the difference between impulse and power. Power is not always loud. Sometimes power is silence. Sometimes power is delay. Sometimes power is refusing to reveal your next move to people who have not earned access to your plan. The old mindset overshares. It tells everyone the dream too early. It announces the transformation too early. It explains the strategy to people who secretly hope it fails. Then it wonders why the energy disappears. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your becoming. Some people should meet the result, not the process. Protect your vision while it is still fragile. Protect your focus while it is still formed. Protect your discipline before it becomes identity. Because the world is full of people who do not need to destroy you. They only need to distract you long enough for you to destroy yourself. And distraction is the modern battlefield. Your old mindset thinks the enemy is always dramatic. A betrayal, a failure, a crisis, a public defeat. But often the enemy is small. A phone in your hand. A habit you call harmless. A conversation that drains you. A relationship that keeps you emotionally addicted. A comfort that slowly steals your ambition. A life that feels fine enough to stop you from becoming extraordinary. That is dangerous, because obvious pain wakes you up, but comfortable decay puts you to sleep. Machiavelli would tell you to study the battlefield. And today the battlefield is your attention. Whoever controls your attention influences. If your attention is scattered, your life becomes scattered. If your attention is captured by fear, your decisions become small. If your attention is captured by comparison, your confidence becomes unstable. If your attention is captured by entertainment, your ambition becomes weak. The new mindset asks, where is my attention going? Because where your attention goes, your life follows. You cannot build a powerful life with a distracted mind. You cannot become dangerous to your limitations if you keep feeding them every moment. The first hour of your day matters. The last hour of your day matters. The content you consume matters. The people you listen to matter. The environment you tolerate matters. Because your mind is not just thinking. It is being trained. Every day something is training you. Training you to be patient or impulsive. Strong or soft. Focused or scattered. Grateful or bitter. Disciplined or addicted. The question is, who is designing your training? You, or the world. The old mindset lives accidentally. The new mindset lives deliberately. It chooses what enters the mind. It chooses what deserves energy. It chooses the kind of person it is becoming. And this is where life begins to feel different. Not easier, different. Because when you become deliberate, you stop feeling like a victim of every mood, every person, every problem, every delay. You begin to move with intention. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, how can I use this? That question is powerful. How can I use rejection? Use it as training for independence. How can I use betrayal? Use it as education in human nature. How can I use failure? Use it as feedback. How can I use loneliness? Use it as a room where your real self can finally speak. How can I use pressure? Use it as proof that you are entering a larger life. The old mindset wastes pain. The new mindset converts pain. That is the alchemy of power. Not pretending pain does not hurt. Not acting emotionally, but refusing to let suffering be meaningless. Every wound must teach. Every loss must sharpen. Every disappointment must reveal. Every ending must return you to yourself with clearer eyes. This is not toxic positivity. This is strategic survival. Because if pain does not become wisdom, it becomes a prison. And many people are not living in the present. They are living inside an old injury. They see today through the eyes of what happened 5 years ago. They reject opportunity because one person once rejected them. They avoid love because one person once betrayed them. They avoid ambition because one failure embarrassed them. They call it being careful. But sometimes, it is just fear wearing the mask of wisdom. The new mindset does not deny the past. It studies it. Then it refuses to be ruled by it. Machiavelli would say, learn human nature or become a victim of it. This includes your own nature. You must know your weaknesses before the world uses them against you. Know what tempts you. Know what triggers you. Know what makes you desperate. Know what makes you abandon your standards. Know what kind of praise makes you foolish. Know what kind of person makes you forget your value. This self-knowledge is not weakness. It is protection. A ruler who does not know the weak gate of his own castle will lose the kingdom. And you are the kingdom. Your mind is the kingdom. Your time is the kingdom. Your body is the kingdom. Your reputation is the kingdom. Your future is the kingdom. Stop handing keys to people who bring nothing but Stop giving full access to temporary emotion. Stop letting one bad day vote on the direction of your life. You need internal government. Rules. Standards. Order. Not because you want to become rigid, but because chaos is expensive. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you pay. You pay in confidence. Every time you tolerate disrespect, you pay. You pay in self-trust. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you pay. You pay with the future you said you wanted. Nothing is free. Even avoidance has a cost. Even laziness has interest. Even fear sends a bill. And one day left collects. The old mindset says, I will deal with it later. The new mindset understands. Later is where dreams go to die. Later becomes next month. Next month becomes next year. Next year becomes a decade. And one day you look back and realize, you were not waiting for the right time. You were training yourself to avoid your own life. That realization hurts. But it can also save you. Because the moment you see the pattern, you can break it. And the pattern breaks through action. Not overthinking. Not endless planning. Not waiting to feel perfect. Action. Small action. Consistent action. Unromantic action. The kind of action nobody claps for. Clean the room. Fix the schedule. Train the body. Read the book. Save the money. Make the call. End the habit. Tell the truth. Do the work. Repeat. Repeat until your mind stops arguing with your standard. Repeat until discipline becomes less dramatic. Repeat until your new identity feels normal. That is how you become dangerous. Not dangerous to people. Dangerous to your old limit. Dangerous to excuses. Dangerous to environments that depend on your weakness. Dangerous to every lie that once kept you small. Machiavelli did not live in a world of He lived in a world where power shifted, alliances broke, appearances mattered, and weakness could be punished. Today, your battlefield may look different, but the principle remains. If you are not building strength, you are becoming dependent on mercy. And mercy is not a strategy. You cannot control whether life is merciful. You can control whether you are prepared. Prepared people move differently. They do not panic as easily. They do not beg as easily. They do not collapse when one door closes, because they have built options. Options are power. A skill gives you options. Money saved gives you options. Emotional control gives you options. A strong body gives you options. A disciplined mind gives you options. A clear identity gives you options. The old mindset wants rescue. The new mindset builds options. And when you have options, your energy changes. You stop clinging to people who treat you like an afterthought. You stop accepting opportunities that insult your value. You stop confusing attachment with loyalty. You stop staying where your growth is dying. This is not arrogance. It is self-respect. Arrogance says, I am better than everyone. Self-respect says, I will not betray myself to be accepted. There is a quiet dignity in that. And dignity is magnetic. People may not always like it, but they feel it. They feel when you no longer need to be chosen by everyone. They feel when your silence is not weakness. They feel when your kindness has boundaries. They feel when your patience is not permission. The old mindset wants to be liked. The new mindset wants to be aligned. And alignment will cost you popularity. Sometimes it will cost you relationships. Sometimes it will cost you comfort. Sometimes it will cost you the fantasy of who you thought people were. But what you gain is better. You gain yourself. A self that is no longer for sale. A self that does not bend for every mood in the room. A self that can be loving without being weak. Open without being naive. Ambitious without being empty. Strategic without being cruel. This is the balance. This is where people misunderstand Machiavelli. They think power means manipulation. But the highest power is self-command. Because when you command yourself, you do not need to manipulate others. You do not need to beg. You do not need to chase. You do not need to perform. You become rooted. And rooted people are difficult to destroy. Storms may bend them, but they do not vanish. The old mindset is built on reaction. The new mindset is built on principle. Principle says, I do not lie to myself. I do not abandon my standards for temporary comfort. I do not give my best energy to people committed to misunderstanding. I do not let fear make my decision. I do not worship approval. I do not confuse kindness with self-erasure. I do not wait for life to become easy before I become serious. These principles become armor. Not armor that blocks love. Armor that blocks chaos. Armor that protects the part of you still becoming. Because your future self is not built in public. It is built in private decision. The decision to stay focused. The decision to leave the conversation. The decision to wake up when it would be easier to sleep. The decision to remain calm when anger wants the microphone. The decision to keep going when nobody sees the effort. And then one day people say, you changed. But they did not see the war. They did not see the mornings you fought yourself. They did not see the nights you almost returned to the old life. They did not see the discipline when it felt poor. They only see the result. Let them. You do not need everyone to understand the cost of your becoming. Some victories are too sacred to explain. The old mindset wants witnesses. The new mindset wants results. So stop asking for applause from people who never saw the vision. Stop trying to explain your hunger to people who have made peace with their cage. Stop shrinking your ambition to make others. Your life is not a group project. At the end, you will not stand before a committee. You will stand before the truth of what you did with your time. And that truth will not care how many excuses sounded reasonable. It will only ask, did you become who you were capable of becoming? That question should shake you. Not to shame you. To wake you. Because you still have time. But not unlimited time. And that is the final illusion the old mindset must lose. The belief that there will always be more time. More time to start. More time to heal. More time to build. More time to change. more time to say no, more time to become serious. But time is not waiting respectfully, and time is moving, silently, relentlessly. Whether you use it or waste it, it passes. Machiavelli's world was brutal because consequences arrived quickly. Our world is more comfortable, so consequences often arrive slowly. But slow consequences are still consequent. A neglected body eventually a neglected dream eventually becomes regret. A neglected mind eventually becomes a prison. A neglected life eventually asks why you were so afraid. Do not wait for regret to become your. Let clarity teach you now. Let discipline teach you now. Let reality teach you now. Let the future you want become more important than the comfort you keep defending. This video is not here to make you feel motivated for one night. Motivation fades. This is here to challenge the operating system of your mind, to destroy the belief that someone else is responsible for your becoming, to destroy the belief that being good means being passive, to destroy the belief that comfort is harmless, to destroy the belief that fear deserves authority, to destroy the belief that your past has the right to name your. And once that old mindset begins to crack, something powerful appears underneath. Not a perfect person, not a fearless person, but a person who has finally decided, I'm no longer available for the life that keeps me small. I will not wait to be chosen. I will choose discipline. I will choose clarity. I will choose self-respect. I will choose strategy. I will choose the hard truth over the comfortable lie. I will become calm enough to think, strong enough to walk away, focused enough to build, patient enough to endure, and dangerous enough to my old limits that they can no longer survive me. That is the beginning of a new mind. A mind that does not beg reality to. A mind that becomes stronger inside reality. A mind that understands that kindness needs boundaries, dreams need systems, pain needs meaning, and power begins with self-command. So tonight, do not just ask what you want. Ask what mindset must die for that life to be. The insecure mind, the distracted mind, the approval-seeking mind, the comfortable mind, the mind that keeps choosing later. Look at it honestly. Thank it for helping you survive. Then release it, because survival was never the final destination. You were not born only to endure your life. You were born to shape it. And shaping your life requires courage. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind that shows up tomorrow morning, the kind that does the work before the world notices, the kind that keeps promises in private, the kind that stops negotiating with weakness, the kind that becomes so steady, so focused, so internally governed, that the old version of you has nowhere left to live. That is how a mindset dies. Not in one dramatic moment, but every time you choose the new standard, every time you refuse the old excuse, every time you protect your attention, every time you act before fear finishes speaking, every time you remember, the world does not reward the person you meant to become. It responds to the person you actually become. So become. Not tomorrow. Not when it is easy. Not when they understand. Not when you feel ready. Become now. Quietly. Strategically. Relentlessly. And one day, when your life looks nothing like your past, you will understand. The old mindset did not leave because time passed. It left because you stopped feeding it. You stopped obeying it. You stopped calling fear wisdom. You stopped calling comfort. You stopped calling delay patience. You stopped calling self-betrayal kindness. And in its place, you built something stronger. A mind that sees clearly. A heart that remains human. A will that does not collapse. A life that finally belongs to you. That is the lesson. That is the warning. That is the invitation. Destroy the old mindset before the old mindset destroys your future.